Hello, folks. It is Wednesday, May 3rd. It's 7 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast of the United States. I was taking a look today at the charts of the banks that have already collapsed and the next banks that are expected to collapse or likely to collapse, and then a few more banks that are in pretty steep decline based on their stock price. And so let's jump right into that. Obviously, we can look at it's easy to identify the banks that have already collapsed, because, they've closed. There they are by date. There's been 5 of them. We can just look. There's nothing really, earth-shattering about the charts. One thing I did notice is in a couple of these charts, price had dropped below basically the IPO price, whatever bank stock we're looking at, when it opened at a certain price, by the time it failed, it had dropped below that price. And so, if we were looking for red flags, that would be a pretty obvious one. when you've dropped below your IPO price, you're probably in trouble. And so, anyway, these are the five banks that have already failed. You can see, huge collapse in accumulation distribution because basically stocks have stopped trading. And so that's those 5 banks. And then we had 2 banks today that trading was halted for some period of time based on volatility, big moves. And of course, that was PacWest Bank Corp and Western Alliance. And so PacWest is actually the more interesting of those 2 banks. It gives us some insight into commercial real estate and residential real estate as well. That's about 80% of this bank's loan book is basically it's commercial and residential mortgages. And so interesting that they were in a position or are in a position where they need to raise capital, and I would guess that that's part of what's sparking the exodus, people leaving, bailing on their investments in this bank because they know the bank is looking for capital. Interesting to me that based on the little bit of research I've done on this bank in particular, rather than trying to sell assets, they're not trying to sell their asset book, they're trying to sell divisions. And so I found that interesting. They know that the assets are distressed, and so maybe that's why they're choosing to sell branches of the business, not banking branches, but divisions of the business, rather than trying to sell the assets that they hold on their books. And of course, that's what one of the triggers for Silicon Valley Bank collapsing is that they needed to raise liquidity and started to sell some of the assets, the treasury debt that they were holding, and that was one of the triggers for the run on Silicon Valley Bank. So interesting that we've got another bank trying to raise capital and doesn't seem to be going well for them. Interesting. So let's drop down to the daily time frame. All of these charts are in the weekly time frame, except for here we just drop down into the daily. So if we look at, let me turn volume off. This thing closed today at 642. So that was the close, 642. And we can see here in the aftermarket, what is that, 283. So currently in the aftermarket, this thing is trading at 283 based on a close of 642. So what's that? It's been cut in half again. So cut in half again in the aftermarket. What's the chance that this thing even opens tomorrow? Or what happens when it does open tomorrow after it's been cut in half overnight? And so anyway, that's another bank in a heap of hurt locker, however you want to look at it. Western Alliance, again, not much you can tell from the chart, other than, it is price is dropping below, this horizontal support resistance level going back, that's 2006. So pretty significant support resistance level there. And price has now not only dropped below that level, but tested it from below and that test appears to have failed, basically repulsed and rolling over. This pop in the accumulation distribution indicator is interesting to me. It suggests that somebody came in after this big drop. Somebody came in with a lot of buying. Somebody tried to rescue this thing. And interesting, I'm assuming that was an attempted rescue and not an investor. Perhaps there's some investor that just wanted to buy a bunch of this thing, thought he was getting he or she was getting a discount, buying it at a bargain. Who knows? But anyway, that is an interesting pop in the accumulation distribution. Let's keep rolling. What's really interesting, so the rest of these charts, they're bank charts and banks that aren't doing very well. What's of more value to you is this resource, finviz.com. So if you're not familiar with Finviz, this is the most powerful stock sorter screener, I guess is the official term, market screener. This is the best free tool that I'm aware of. And so if you want to go in and look for stocks in a particular sector, doing a particular pattern, you can filter based on patterns, price, change in price, any number of filters that can be applied using Finviz. And so anyway, to find these bank stocks that are in trouble, I just went, so we're sorted on financial sector, regional banks, USA, excuse me, and those were the only filters I applied. I sort by change in price, and we're just, there's I've got the top five, those top five stocks there. And we can look at those charts. Nothing really exciting to see in those charts, other than again, when your share price drops below your IPO price, quite likely that you're in trouble. I was thinking about that too. As I was visualizing, it's the miser in their cold, dark building, that penny pincher, and they're the major investor in this thing, and they put their money on the line initially at the IPO price, and now they've called you, the bank manager, whoever's running this thing, called them into their office, and they're saying, yeah, look, gave you a chance, price has dropped below my investing price, I'm out, I am out. And whatever that looks like, major investors getting out. It's like, you had your chance, you blew it. Let me out. So nothing to see there. Just more drops, more significant drops in banking stocks. Are these banks going to fail? Who knows? We'll find out. That's really all I've got. For the most part, I wanted to make sure that you were aware of this finviz.com as a market screener. Powerful tools. There's all kinds of tools in here. They're all free. Excellent resource to be aware of. I guess tomorrow we'll be paying attention to PacWest, see what happens. Again, it'll be interesting to see at the open what happens to this thing after a 50% haircut overnight, how does it open in the morning and how does it trade in the morning? Does it even open in the morning? So anyway, that's all I got for you. I will talk to you soon, folks.